My name is Rodney Richardson, and I'll be your master of ceremony for this evening's town hall meeting here in Dutch Quarter. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Prime Minister of St. Martin and Territorial Authorizing Officer, the Honorable Leona Romeo Marlin. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of our Minister of Romi, the Honorable Miklos Gietersen. I'd like to welcome to St. Martin representatives of the EU Commission, European Commission. Thank you for coming and making this long journey to St. Martin. I'd like to also acknowledge the presence of the representatives of the EU delegation in Guyana, our Secretary General of Romi, thank you for coming this evening, Department Head of New Works, Mr. Kurt Rowan, representatives of Van Boekel Bouw en Infra BV, and the Director of Ilaco NV, Mr. Ravindra Patadin. Thank you for coming. This evening we are here gathered at this town hall meeting on the 10th EDF SEWERAGE project to receive an update from the government of St. Martin and its stakeholders on the execution of the final phase of this project within your community, Dutch Quarter. And also let me acknowledge the presence of you, the residents of Dutch Quarter, who took the time out to be here with us this evening. Without further delay, I would like to call to the lectern the Prime Minister of St. Martin and Territorial Authorizing Officer, the Honorable Leona Romeo Marlin, for her welcome remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Residents of Dutch Quarter, especially the pillars of the Dutch Quarters community, who I can see right now, Mr. Duzanson, Mrs. Christina Hodge. As the Territorial Authorizing Officer and the Minister responsible for EU funding, I would like to welcome you to this town hall meeting on the 10th EDF sewage project. As you are aware, this is the third town hall meeting in the past 5 years, following the signing of the 10th EDF programming document, which was done here in Dutch Quarter under the Weaver Estate property in the summer of 2012. At the end of 2013, the signing of our financing agreement with the EU Commission followed. In previous meetings, our colleagues at VROMI have presented the project to you and given you some updates on the progress of this project. Nonetheless, I understand your growing sentiments and concerns when after all these activities, the project still did not start. Despite the unfortunate delays, Dutch Quarter, you were never forgotten. Tonight we come to you bearing the fantastic and long-lasted awaited news that the implementation works for the Dutch Quarter sewage project funded under the 10th European Development Fund is scheduled to start in August. And on behalf of the government of St. Martin, I take this opportunity to not only bring this good news to you, but also to express our most sincere apologies for the delay in the implementation of this project. There have been a number of challenges along the way with Hurricane Irma, not the least, of unavoidable circumstances which caused these series of delays. But let us not dwell in the past. As we have arrived at this particular moment, this long-awaited moment of success, and now we need to ask for your patience, your cooperation, and assistance for the swift completion of the forthcoming sewage works. My colleague, the Minister of Romi, Mr. Miklos Gietersen, and his team will elaborate further about this project in this town hall meeting. As the ministry responsible for infrastructure, they will take this project to the next phase and give you access to sanitation services. During tonight's program, you will be reminded about the scope of the works expected in the coming year, but also receive some new information. You will meet the contractor who will work alongside you to construct the sewage network, as well as the supervisor who will ensure the civil works are carried out according to the specifications. At the end of the presentation, we look forward to taking note of any remaining concerns you may have so that we can, where possible, address those immediately. I will close by thanking all of the residents of Dutch Quarter and invited guests tonight and the surrounding areas for their patience and understanding in the past years, and express my advance thanks for the continued cooperation and support that we will finally need in finalizing this project. Dutch Quarter, it is the time now for implementation.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for those opening remarks. And I would like to welcome to the lectern Minister of Romi, the Honorable Miklos Gietersen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or I should say the community of Lower Princess Quarter, Dutch Quarter, Zorg and Rus. Welcome. Protocol has been established. We finally have entered into a new milestone with the 10th EDF project. And it is with great emphasis that I commend the key players that have worked diligently on this project to see it reach to this stage. It has been over 7 years since the Ministry of Romi and Government of St. Martin have been trying to bring this project to a realization. And today I am pleased to say that we will see peaks in the ground to signify the commencement of works for this project. The project itself is a very straightforward project that consists of a few factors. One, the upgrading of the side roads and improvement of the overall drainage system in Dutch Quarter, improvement of the public street lights and related works, the construction of pedestrian sidewalks, and the expansion of the sewer network, including home connections and connections to the main sewer line. The project's main focus is to tackle the sewage problem in the Dutch Quarter area, and with the help of our counterparts, the European Union Development Funds, this realization is possible. The core of the project is to improve the living conditions of the Dutch Quarter residents and eliminate running sewage water that is currently present on the roads and the side roads, and to remove the current pumping stations alongside the main road. The project is subdivided in 3 sections. Section 1, the main road, of which the gravity sewage line will be laid. A new pumping station will be constructed at the end of the main road. Upgrading of the pressure line will also be tackled in this phase of the project. The houses on the main road will be connected to the main sewer system. Section 5 is the second part. This area is in the area of Keynes Drive. For this section of the project, the homes will be connected to the sewer line, and the implementation of a sidewalk will be placed on one side of the road, and installation of street lights. And lastly, Section 6, which is similar to Section 5. All the homes within this section will be connected to the main sewer system. Upgrading of the side roads where necessary, they will be paved in concrete, and the implementation of the sidewalks on one side of the road. And if you look at the back, you can see maps stick up on the wall, and on these maps you can identify the different sections that I just spoke about: Section 1, Section 5, and Section 6. It is important to mention that this project is not solely a government project, but a project for the people of Dutch Quarter, and the cooperation of all is needed. More so, patience and understanding for the technical issues are also needed. If ever in doubt, ask as many questions as you may. As an explanation to this project, as an expansion to this project, the utility companies are also deeply involved in the project to upgrade and improve their services to the community. GB and Telem group of companies, also cable TV, will take part in this project. It is projected to have all overhead cables placed on the ground to secure the networks and an increase to the drinking water tank that is currently on Mount William Hill. It will be upgraded to a 2,000 cubic meter drinking water tank. I left out all the technical language for the engineers and contractors to explain, but with my presence here today, I can confirm that this project will become a reality and the future expansion and beautification of the Dutch Quarter District is in the near future.
Thank you, Minister Peterson. I'd now like to welcome to the lectern, representing the European Commission, Mr. Federico Berna.
Good evening, Honorable Prime Minister Leona Romeo Marlin, Minister Miklos Jitterson, resident of the community, good evening. My name is Federico Berna. I'm the head of sector for the Caribbean in the Directorate General for International Cooperation and Development in Brussels. I'm very happy to be here today with you this evening. And especially, of course, I'm honored and happy that after some time we are able to mark the start of the 10 EDF project on sewage in the Dutch Quarter. The project represents really an important milestone of our cooperation with St. Martin. We are finally at the point that the work can start, and I think you deserve this one after all this year. We have witnessed the needs arising after the hurricane in terms of infrastructure rehabilitation, and we are convinced that this project can really bring benefits in the neighborhood by improving living conditions. And also by working on sewage appeal, the project will contribute to improve the environment of the island and its marine biodiversity. So also to look at the long-term sustainability of an important sector like tourism, for example, on fisheries. But the real work starts now, so we are just at the beginning, and we need all parties involved from the ministry, from our side, from the involvement of the communities, to work together to make sure that the works are carried out timely and according to high standards. You can count on the EU, through the EU delegation in Guyana also, for monitoring progress constantly and for all necessary support. We hope to come back here maybe in 1 year time or more to be able to witness actually the improvement, the upgrade of the community, and to inaugurate finally all the works which will be carried out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berner, and also thank you for making and taking the time out to come to St. Martin. We now have a presentation by the Department Head of New Projects, Mr. Kurt Rowan, who will give you a short presentation of the works that will take place for the 10th EDF Dutch Quarter Sewage Project. Mr. Rowan.
Good evening. Protocol has been established. I know many of you from the area of Dutch Quarter, you're going to say, I'm a familiar face, came here, gave about 3 presentations, and still nothing happened. But this time, we could rest assured you that we are on the right track. And besides us being on the right track, I could recall in 2008, when we started the construction. As a matter of fact, let's go back to a year later, 2007. If you all could remember June 30th, 2007, when we had that fatal rainfall, cloudburst in the area of the Cul-de-Sac Basin, where 2 people lost their lives. We had a rainfall of about 6 inches plus on the L.B. Scott Road. If you all could remember the school teacher who, on Betty's Estate Road, the water lifted her up off the road and dumped her into the trench. And then we had a Caucasian resident who was coming out of a public transportation bus. And as he came out, the water swept him into the trench, and they found him down by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And why I'm bringing up this background information is because after that, the government of St. Martin commissioned a study by UNESCO IHE, and it was then identified that as a result of that cloudburst in 2007, that the cul-de-sac basin was identified as flood-prone area number 2. When we went and we did further research, we noticed that, wow, we have problems. Dutch Quarter, known as the Belle Plaine Basin, was identified as flood-prone area number 2. The Belle area, flood-prone area number 3, we all know the well-gelegen road in the vicinity of the medical center. With a good heavy rainfall, the area flooded. So, and then also the area of Coal Bay, K-Bay, flood area number 4. And why I bring that history up is because right after, when the government of St. Martin was made aware, based on the report from UNESCO IHE, that Dutch Quarter was flood area number 2, right away, government made up plans and constructed those huge trenches that we see in here. And hadn't government have constructed these trenches, then it would have been always a problem in Dutch Quarter, because with the amount of rainfall that falls into this basin, there would have been excessive flooding and whatsoever. But nevertheless, that is a project that was undertaking. Right after that, we start right away with the plans for the upgrading of Dutch Quarter, of which my colleague, Ms. Olivia Lake, when she was working within the department, was the project manager on that project. We prepared an entire plan for the upgrading of Dutch Quarter, and we sectioned it off in section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are not out of the hoods with Dutch Quarter as yet. The sections that will be presented here tonight, you will ask yourself, why section 1, why section 5, and why section 6, but I'm going to break it down. Those are the sections that fit within our budget, available budget from the EU. That's why I'm very happy with our colleagues from the EU, Mr. Thorsten Strand. He has been very diligently and consistently in moving this project forward. So, Thorsten, thank you very much for being there for us. Before I go into the presentation, I must say, those gutters that we constructed, we haven't done well, we haven't done good for our counterparts on the southern side, because on this side of the island we have huge gutters, whereas the residents of Dutch Quarter are protected in the event of excessive rainfall. But with the gutters that they have on the front side, problems are being created. With any little heavy rainfall, our counterparts on the front side, they are flooding. There's also another project that we are undertaking, of which the EU is also part of, and we're also looking to your consistent support in making this project a reality, is because the drainage gutters that we have constructed here, they have to continue all the way to the pond on the front side. So that is a project that, a joint project of which the Prime Minister is also diligently moving forward, is the Belle Plaine upgrading project. So that's just a bit of history, that even though you all might think Dutch Quarter has been forgotten, no, Dutch Quarter was never forgotten. It was all about planning, planning, planning. And the planning of the upgrading of Dutch Quarter had started in 2008, and as a matter of fact, today marks 10 years anniversary that we are still busy in Dutch Quarter, and Dutch Quarter has not been forgotten. To further elaborate on the presentation, as I mentioned, the section of Dutch Quarter was split up in 7 sections. You will see section 1, 5, and 6. The section for orientation purposes, this is the Martin Luther King School here, and this is the top of the hill. This is Hodges Lane here. A sewage line will be connected from the school onto the main line, whereas the Martin Luther King School will be connected onto the main sewer line. There is also a sewage pump that will be constructed to the bottom of the hill, meaning on the lowest part, and from there, the water is going to be pumped over the hill in one shot. Presently, there are some 3 pumping stations located on various locations alongside the main road in Dutch Quarter, but those sewage pumps will be something of the past whereas the issue of stench will be alleviated alongside the main road. Because one could imagine driving through as a resident, you enjoy with it every day, but as a tourist, you're driving through Dutch Quarter, you will ask yourself, like, something is wrong here. So those issues and those stenches of the past, those stenches will be something of the past. Section 1 is the main road. So the main road will have a gravity line, which will collect all the sewage water from the higher areas, and it will flow down through gravity to the pumping station, down in the vicinity of the gas station. In another picture, you're going to see that. And from there, it's going to be pumped over the hill with a pressure line. Section 6 is more or less from the vicinity of, let's say, this road from Richardson Drive all the way down to Section 5, Keynes Drive. So this area of Section 6 will be totally upgraded, whereas sewage lines will be going underground. We've also had pre-meetings with GEB, tonight represented by its CEO, Mr. Jerome Chittick, and also representatives of TELEM, who are also committed to the project. So which means all overhead cables will be going underground, and also street lights will be implemented with paved roads and also street lights. Similar goes for the district from Nick Spring Drive back to Keynes Drive. All that area, we will see sewer lines going down under the ground. As I explained, the main objective of the project is to improve the living condition of the residents of Dutch Quarter, to reduce stench, unhealthy conditions, to reduce pollution, overflowing drainage systems, and also to improve the overall safety of those moving around. Specific objectives of the project is to collect the wastewater and transport it from this area to the wastewater treatment plant located at the 80 Illich Road, and also to improve the overall infrastructure on its whole. This is a picture, section 1 of the main road, that its present situation. Right now in the drawing, all here you could see where the existing sewage plant is located. So this is the section that will be undertaking. So all of this will be upgraded, whereas the sewage line will be implemented. This is the area whereas all the way to the bottom, where the new gravity sewer will also be implemented, with also the sewage pit, the new with a pumping station to the bottom that will eventually pump the sewage up to the hill, and also all the homes on the main road will be connected to this new system. The existing problem that we have in Dutch Quarter presently is a result of the stench. As we know, there's nothing more unhealthy than running sewage water. I was also so fortunate to be involved with the Miller Region project. And that was really a sad situation from what it was to what it is now. And it had always hurt me to see how we live in St. Martin, that I even start to think it's the norm. When you see school children coming out of a school bus and tiptoeing in sewage water, not knowing if it is sewage water or rainwater. And then you go inside your house with your shoes on, and then not knowing the unhealthy situation that you bring into one home, because some kids, when they reach home with a doormat, they like to clean the foot off, and then they're going to see the little brother, the little sister come and play in there, and they're going to walk on the mat not knowing the unhygienic situation that is being created. Because with unhealthy situations, with running septic problems, you transport the problem from the road into the home to creating diseases and sickness. That is what it brings along in the end. So that's why I'm very happy that we all understand these problems with sewage alleviation, and that is very important. And the point I want to bring across, the existing pits that we have, the stench and the unhealthy situation that they're presently creating, they have a lifespan of about 20 years. In these 3 pits, they will be eliminated, and they will be replaced with 1 pit to the bottom of the hill. And also, based on the information that you could read here, they're in a very, very, very bad state. I could recall in management meetings, my colleague, Mr. Boncampo, fighting with the SG, telling him these pits only have a lifespan of 6 more months. But Tonsha, I think They're still alive. Yep. This is the area close to the church. This used to be the old 80 Illich Road to the bottom. This is the roundabout around here. And right here is where the new pumping station will be constructed. That's all the way to the bottom. That's the roundabout over there. So, very important issues to know about Section 1 during the execution of the works. I'm going to leave Mr. Lars Bruns from MNO, from Van Boekel, go into that information with regards to traffic diversifications, safety issues during construction works, reduce speed, all of those things will be in place, but Van Boekel, represented by Mr. Lars Bruns, will get into those issues. The entire project is going to take a year. The contractor is anticipated to start in the first weeks of August, and the entire project is going to be completed by the first week of August 2019. So anywhere around that time. This is Section 5. This is the main road here, again. This is the road Keynes Drive. It is very much challenged. It's the area just above where the former Afu supermarket used to be. So there, we're going to be also seeking the cooperation of the landowners, because most of these homes, they are going down in the sewage line. As you see, the red line is where we have to catch the sewage water from the lowest point and channel it to the main road. So it's very important that we get the necessary cooperation from the landowners, and that the landowners continue to support these kind of initiatives in community building, because this project cannot be a reality on its own with government. It has to be, how you would say, a public-private partnership, whereas the public sector partnering with government with one common goal, alleviation of the problems in our community. And also, very important, what we communicated to the contractor too as well, is that we want community involvement. Without community involvement, there will be no care for the product in the end, because any contractor could come in, build roads, do whatever and whenever, but if there's not community involvement, then it has no value, because just as it is built, it will be destroyed. These are some more situations of running sewage water based on the pictures, as you could see. These are pictures of ongoing situations, and I think it have even gotten worse because of a lot of illegalities. But with the implementation of the sewage lines, all of these problems will be eliminated. And also fire hydrants, street lights will be installed in these areas. Here, you could see some more situations of running sewage water, but if you would walk through the district, then you will get a more grip of the situation on hand. Section 6, this is the section from Richardson Drive, go all the way back to Next Spring Drive. This is also where the roads will be hard surface, and also the gray area is where the roads will be hard surface. Sidewalks will be implemented, cables will be placed on the ground, homes will be hooked up to the sewer system, in sidewalks. So overall, healthy situation will be created with a win-win for the residents and government at on. This is some more pictures of the situation on hand that will be alleviated with the implementation of a sewer system. Yeah, this is also some more pictures of situations of overflowing sewage water, especially, look at these situations here. So these are the present problems that we have throughout the districts. I mean, in the one area, a little bit more than the other area. And also, poor road conditions, and also upgrading of the existing drain system will also be witnessed within this project. It is also good to mention that GB will be working along with government on this project. So GB, TALEM, cable TV, which actually falls under TALEM and also UTS. A traffic diversification plan will be put in place. In the construction works, I will leave that up to Van Boekel to explain. And also, as I mentioned, cooperation of the residents and the landowners are very much welcome. And it is also good to mention, I was made aware today by my colleague that within short, a project is going to start with the cleaning up of the areas of car wrecks. So a little word of hint, if you have any car wreck in your area and it has been there for a little too long, be a good Samaritan, a good resident, and try clean it up rather than it being a nuisance to other people, because in a car wreck, a lot of unpleasant insects resides, rodents, etc. Very, very important community involvement. What a discussion we had with a contractor is that, as customary, it's a policy that government has adopted, is that we very much love to see the youngsters from the area being given the chance to work along on the project. And as Van Boekel confirmed today, very important is that once there is a will and one is motivated to work on the project, then they could start out as a helper and even become a sewage home connection expert. So the company is looking and working forward with the youngsters from the area, and also to help them to learn a trade. So I would like to thank Van Boekel for confirming that in our meeting of today, and I really look forward to the execution of that. And it is also requested of all all residents or youngsters who is willing to work along on the project to register and to submit the information through the community council, because first of all, we want to make sure that the community council, represented by Mr. Sidney DeWeave and his team, that they are very much involved in the project, because this project is being made a reality for the community. I mean, as much as some of us would like to build roads or whatsoever, but it have to have an ownership of product, and you only could have an ownership of product if the community is involved. Involvement of the community is a very, very, very important factor. And also the cooperation of the landowners. We don't want the project to look like government is coming with yet another project. They want to pave a road or they want to do this. No, we are coming to create situations of win-win. Sit down, talk, reason, and then at the end of the meeting, a good handshake, everybody happy in the end. I mean, that was something, a project that myself, together with my colleague, Ms. Natalie, and some others worked on in Miller Region. And when I personally drive through Miller Region, I mean, I just have a good feeling. So those are the kind of projects I like. When you drive through there, you see happy people, you see happy residents, and this is the kind of cooperation that you want to create. The contract was signed in February by the Honorable Prime Minister in Van Boekel. The contract has been awarded to Van Boekel for the sum of 4.3 million. It is financed by the EU and also partially by the government of St. Martin. Ilaco Suriname, represented by Mr. Ravi Pananding, is the supervisor on the project. Ravi is somewhere sitting down. Oh, that's Ravi over there. And also, the works are going to start in August, and it's going to be completed within a year. It is not just a project that for the upgrading of the area, but it is also something that the EU is doing to upgrade communities. It's more than just a sewage project or infrastructure upgrading project. It's a project that gives to the community. So a budget has been reserved for playgrounds. It was discussed more or less in 2 areas, because the district of Dutch Quarter is divided in 2 areas. I mean, going down the hill, you have the east side and then you have the west side. So what we are looking in consultation with the community council is to designate a playground on the eastern side and also one on the western side. So in the end, I think we all going to look at the project, whereas we're going to have a situation with upgraded infrastructure, no more sewage water on the road. And it's also good to mention that GB is also working on the plans to have the existing drink water tank that it has a capacity now, I think, of about 500 cubic meters replaced with a capacity of 2,000 cubic meters. So I think all in all, we are looking at a total win here for Dutch Quarter, and it don't stop here. And when I say it don't stop here, it's because there's still a lot more to be done. So don't think that it is the end. There is still more areas in Dutch Quarter that has to be carried out. And as I mentioned, Dutch Quarter, when we divided it in 7 sections, we have section 1, the main road, and then we have section 2, this area here of Zongerus, and also section 3, 4, and 7, they still have to be carried out. But these are challenges that government have to bear with. So I'm just asking you all to bear with us because we are still planning to have everything carried out in a way that everyone will be happy. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rowan. We now go over to a presentation by the representative of Van Boekel, Bouw and Infra BV, Mr. Lars Brands.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Prime Minister, Minister, all the other attendees, European Union, ILACO, welcome. Let me introduce myself as a representative of Van Boekel. Van Boekel is, the next one, is a new company here in Sint Maarten, though we are not a new company in the Netherlands. Van Boekel was established about 50 years ago. It's a family-owned business, and with family-owned businesses, you have family values. We take care of our family, and within a family company, you take care of your employees, and you do things together. Van Boekel, as I said, started in the Netherlands, but has become international. We are doing projects in Germany, but also in the Caribbean, Saba, Sint Eustatius, Bonaire, and soon we will add Sint Maarten to that list. Like said, we are going to start with the Dutch Quarter sewerage. Mr. Koertwan has explained all the sections, so I will leave that shortly. Next one. An overview picture. Well, I guess you all know the project better than me, so I can skip that one as well. I want to go to communication. For us, it's very important to work together with the community. We know all about construction. You know all about the community and all about the area. So by working together, we can do it right. Not one. One of the issues is when you live in the Dutch Quarter, you will notice that we work there. A lot of roads are dead ends. So when we make the sewer system, roads will be blocked. You may not be able to reach your house with the car all the time. And sometimes we have to make deviations. We will inform you timely when your street is being diverted. We may put signs, or probably we will put signs. And also, we like to use a local spokesman who will inform you about the consequences. We want a dialogue at that period. During construction works, you may have questions. You may have complaints. We will make an email address dutchquarter@vanboekel.com, where you can email with questions, and we will do our utmost best to answer them as soon as possible. Also, we will have a spokesman in the area which you can address any questions or remarks. But we also want some commitment from your side. Like Mr. Courtrouan said, local labor is invited to give their interest at us, to work with us on the project. I can't promise we can help everybody, but we surely will try to get some of the guys, or a lot of the guys, working for us. And we will train the people, and we will make a good project, not just leaving a new sewer system, but also leaving some knowledge, a social footprint as well. Looking toward the time schedule, I've made quite a rough time schedule because we don't know how quick we are able to proceed with our construction works, but we will start with a survey. The survey will start soon and will take place until somewhere August. In the meantime, we also will do some preparation works to start construction after the hurricane season, September, as soon as possible. You know, in the hurricane season, there can be a lot of rain. We start at the lowest point of the hill. So, like Mr. Courtrouan said, where's the water going? Towards the start of the construction. So we want to start directly after the high risk of the rain. We will start with the building of the pumping station. The pumping station is next to the roundabout. And the building activities will be somewhere from August, September, and continue because of all the mechanical and electrical parts afterwards, but the main building activities will be in September, October. After that, we will start with the sewer system on the main road, upwards. Say September, November. Like I said earlier, around September, we will inform you more in detail about when we are where. We're trying to give you 2 weeks on forehand a notice when we will reach your house. Until December, we will be working on the main road, roughly said, until section 5. And we also will do the mechanical works of the pumping station in the meantime. As you can see, the construction works go from here, step by step, up the hill on the main road. But we also will start activities in section 5. Sewer system on different locations. However, we do realize, this is the next one, yeah. We do realize that during Christmas period, your houses need to be clean and the street need to be accessible as possible. So we will have no activities during the bouwvak, during the last weeks of December. Afterwards, we will continue with the main road until section 6, and step by step we will fill in section 5, and later continue in section 6. Here something went wrong. Okay, next. Like I said, during Christmas there will be no activities. And starting January, we will move further in section 5 and finishing the main road and the school. We will continue with the side roads in section 5 and continue, etc., etc. And as the last part, we will continue in section 6. I don't have it in months at the moment because we, like I said, we don't know how fast we will move forward. And I don't want to give you false intentions. But we will inform you timely, 2 weeks notice, when we start with the new road. The works are expected to be finished after 12 months. And we do realize that there will be inconvenience. It can't be. So, if you live in a road with a dead end, the access to your house shall be blocked. So either you have to park your car a little bit further away, and you may have to walk some distance to your house for some period. However, we are trying to make detours as much as possible so that every house is accessible. And when we really block the road, we try to do it as short as possible. And the latest point, we can only do it when we do it together. There will be inconvenience because we have to make the sewer system in the road. We're trying to help you. If you help us, we can do it in a short time.
I'll now like to go over to that, and I'll ask Mr. Ravindra Patadin of the ILACO NV to address us.
All protocols observed. Honorable Prime Minister, she mentioned patience. Actually, all the speakers used the word patience. Frankly speaking, we also had to go through the patience things. We are already 2.5 years almost in the project, so you can imagine we are also eager to start with the real work where we are for. ILACO is a company which is slightly older than Van Boekel, almost 60 years, based in Suriname, but working in the Caribbean in water infrastructure environment. So that's our core business. We have been here, what I mentioned, from January 2016 in the project. Myself, I lived here myself in 92 to 94, in between 2 hurricanes. So I know, I came back after that, I know what it is to see how the island is being destructed after a hurricane. What is our role actually? As a supervisor, we have, if I go back by the terms of reference, a 1-page long of all kinds of activities and role. Probably somebody from the EU has written that, so we have to do that. We will do that. Quality control. We look at the progress of works. Mr. Lars Brands presented a very nice presentation here with all kinds of nice pictures. We don't look at the pictures, we look at the details. How is it done? How are you going to execute it? Minimum hindrance, safety aspects, quality control, which pipes are being used, etc., etc. The roads he mentioned, yes, we will look whether the quality of the concrete or the base course is used properly. That's our job. At the end, contract management. We have to oversee what's being done, how it is paced, and whether the actual work is done correctly so that we can inform the client, the government, as well as the EU, whether they are doing their work good so that, let's say, the contractual obligations can be met. And eventually, I think it's also a little bit our role to safeguard the objectives. You have seen it in the beginning, a few pages, the main objective and the specific objectives, it's also our part. It's not that someday somebody comes and say, well, you know what, forget the playgrounds, forget this, forget that, forget the street lights. No. Our role is also to see that whatever is in the contract is really materialized. And why I'm saying this, I have been in the business for more than 25 years. I have seen many contracts. I have seen many places. I know there is a temptation to change things ongoing. Yes, we have been dealing with it in the designs, in the procurement, in the tendering. But then, once we are there, let's try to make things as it was designed. Because there has been spending much more time before to do everything correctly. Things can change. That's why we are there as well. He mentioned also, the contractor mentioned he will survey the area first. That's true. Because in 4 or 5 years' time, well, almost 10 years, Kurt was saying, things can change. Let's take the changes, add it, make sure that whatever is laid there has a design life of at least 20 years or for longer. That's what our role is, to make sure that it is done and it's going in the ground. Finally, I would like to say, we have a team of 3 persons. Beside myself, 2 more persons. They will be here based in St. Martin and looking at the daily activities of the contractor. As the contractor was saying, and I think Kurt also, complaints, questions, there will be a site office. Instead of sending an email to Van Boekel, please come to the site office. You are welcome. Any questions, if we are there, we are definitely going to answer it if it is, let's say, technical or whatever is related to that. So you are most welcome, and I hope, let me put it actually this way, I hope that even this community center can serve as a base for questions and for presentations. Thank you very much.